Hello and welcome back again to another amazing episode. And as you guys already know, this is the diaspora transition episode. We speak with people who moved back from the diaspora and currently living on the continent. People who are doing something great here. And on this episode, we have someone very special, very famous. If you don't know this woman, you are under a rock. She moved from Canada and currently living here in Ghana. She's been on the continent for some time now. With a lot of experience, she's working with Ghana Tourism Board and her portfolio is amazing. So without further ado, Ivy Prosper, welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And accepting my invitation,
Love your work.
I've heard so much about you. Even before I came to Ghana last year, November, you were giving us the information about Ghana, year of return. Mm-hmm. You were everywhere. I want to first ask you, before anything, why did you choose to leave Canada? I wanted to go to Canada when I was searching. I wanted to. I think I applied for a visa, but I didn't get it.
They do not allow people for their visa, so I'm not surprised.
Why
did you want to go?
Well, I think education stands out a lot for me. But I ended up affording India, so I visited India and I did my BSIT. Okay. But yeah, you were in Canada. You were born in Canada.
I was born in Ghana.
Ghana, yeah. But you had.
We immigrated when I was a child.
And you decided to move back to the continent and Ghana. Why did you make something like that?
Well, that's kind of a long story. So to make it short, I originally came in 2011. And in 2011, when I came, I stayed for a couple of years. I had initially come, it was supposed to be a getaway. And then I ended up getting work. So I got work with SOS College in town.
Okay.
I was the head of a creative writing center and after-school club for the kids. And then I ended up hosting a television show called the Maternal Health Channel TV series, which aired on GTV and TV3. We traveled around Ghana talking about why women are dying in higher numbers than they should be after childbirth in Ghana.
Columbia, this is Houston. AOS, over.
193 emergency, what's your situation?
Please help me. My wife is having a baby. I need an ambulance now.
Sorry, sir, we don't have any ambulance in your area. You need to get yourself to the nearest hospital on your own. We are very sorry, sir.
Okay, I take her on my bike.
Good evening and welcome to the Maternal Health Channel. In this program, we report on some good news that illustrates the small positive changes that can grow into big ones. A story about Sharwana Mohammed, a young woman from Palbi in the northern region, featured in The Lights Have Gone Out Again, the documentary that inspired the Maternal Health Channel television series. One of the major challenges inhibiting improved maternal health services across Ghana is the non-availability of emergency obstetric care services in remote health centers and the uneven distribution of skilled personnel. 2013, when we wrapped that show, I went back to Canada. And then during the period up until 2016, I kept thinking about coming back. So eventually I did come back in 2016. And a part of me coming back was that I felt this pull, like I felt like there was something else that I could be doing. I just really enjoyed when I worked on the TV show and just wanted to do media work again when I would come back. And I was also happened to be in a relationship with somebody from Ghana. And so part of our discussions were what was going to be best for future, and part of it was coming back to Ghana. So 50% was because of the person I was in a relationship with, and 50% was that I decided that I wanted to come back to the continent.
Well, I like the fact that it's 50-50 because I would have said you moved back to the continent for love. But I'm not saying that, okay? I'm not saying that. Let me ask you this, right? You had families in the Canada. Your family were there. When you told them, listen, I think Ghana is best for me, I want to move to the continent. What were some of the things that they said to you?
Well, I never really had a conversation to discuss that I'm going to move and ask them what they think about it. The decision was made. And then I told them when I was going to be going. So, I mean, there's mixed feelings. Some people felt if that's what I wanted to do, it was a great idea. And then some people felt like they were surprised that I would want to go back. Because it does have its challenges. So there's a mixture of feelings.
Wow. I have to give you this credit. I don't know if people have ever told you, but you are so hardworking and inspirational to, young and upcoming, even for male, not just female. You were out every single day last 2 years during the year of return. And this year, your calendar is crazy.
For year of return, we just want to ask you a quick question. What your thoughts are on the fact that the president of Ghana has made a call for people to come back to the motherland. What your thoughts are on the year of return?
I mean, I just think it's a fabulous idea, It was something I had planned on doing years ago. It's been on my vision board for years. And this was the time I was coming for some other business and things to make a deeper footprint over here than just to come over here, perform, and go back. This is different for me, so we're gonna stay for a while. We got some things set up on the continent, so I just think it's a great call, though. I don't think people understand how it feels for a lot of African Americans to come home to a place you've never been. I mean, how you never been home before? I think it's emotional for everybody. Every African American should experience this for their own soul. It's for your soul. Your soul is here. And so it's nothing but greatness being here. I mean, this is home. It's when we get here, the first time I came here, I couldn't stop crying because I had come to a place called home, which I had never been.
Where we are currently filming is called Bureau. Bureau is located in Osu, next to Jamestown Cafe. Now, it's a co-working space, fully serviced working space where you can share a room with someone who also moved back and they're currently living in Ghana and want to work without no disturbances. Now, their main goal is to be able to create this environment and building the community so that the community can be able to use this space when it comes to organizing of programs, networking. That's one of their main goals, to be able to make sure they create the environments that can be easy for you to network with other people. And they provide fully furnished and serviced offices. Now, you know what that means. You can sit in your office and be chilling, getting coffee served to you. And the Wi-Fi here is great. I just have to be honest. Very fast, you have no disturbances. And even when the light goes off, they have a plant. Can you believe that? So that the light does not run out. And if you know Africa, our lights just sometimes, that's what they have to do. But they are making sure that their plant is always working. Your internet is fast. You have lights 24/7. And it's 24/7, literally. You can come here anytime, midnight, it doesn't matter. They are open. So far as you have membership, you can come here anytime you want and work. So if you're not looking to have a long-term membership, they also have a day service where you can just come in, walk in, and use the services here for a fee, which I would leave their website to see the price differences. So check their website out and understand what kind of services they have for you. And I think you would love it. Not that I think, I know you're going to enjoy your time working here. So they also do have conference rooms that can be booked for meetings, for conferences. They have outdoor space that can also be hired. You have a seminar, you organizing a show, or some kind of meeting, you can also book their outdoor spaces. Very beautiful. There's flowers everywhere. Serene environment. So for more information, visit www.bureaugh.com or info@bureaugh.com for more information. I was working with you. We were doing some projects, and you were not tired. To me, I'm like, she's keeping going, right? But then I asked you, like, don't you get tired? And he was like, I do.
Yeah.
And I asked you, what keeps you going? What makes you keep pushing when you get tired? And I want to know, tell me, what's the secret?
I think it's just, I want to do my best that I possibly can. And I'm also passionate about making sure that I'm telling the stories and showing what I'm supposed to be showing from Ghana, from Africa. I think that's what keeps me going. I think I've always had this tireless work ethic already before even coming here. I think I got it from my dad and my mom too. I see how tirelessly that they worked while we were growing up in Canada. And I think, like, when I think back to when my dad was diagnosed with cancer and he still would go to work, you know, he'd go for chemo and then he'd go to work. And of course my mom would always be like, why are you going to work? You should be resting. And he just felt like he just needed to do his work. And I think that I kind of inherited that in some ways, because there's times when I'm not really feeling well and I still push myself and go. Like 2019 that you mentioned, there was a point I was really sick, but I was still going. And it wasn't until after all the events were done that all of a sudden it was like,
relax
then
now.
I actually was diagnosed as being sick. Got some, some medications and stuff and took some rest, but I think I just have a tireless work ethic and then also wanting to tell the stories.
Well, let's dive. You mentioned your parents. Let's dive into a little bit, if you don't mind. Growing up
I might not answer some questions.
Growing up in Canada, you know, your parents are Africans. Both are Ghanaians.
Both are Ghanaian.
And
my mom is a Chim.
yes, and they moved to the US, Canada, to give you a better life, right? Growing up in an African home in Canada, how was it like?
My parents were not typical Africans, typical Ghanaians. I mean, yes, they had their Ghanaian-ness to them, but they also had a contemporary side. So there were things that we did that a lot of Ghanaian families didn't necessarily do all the time. So, but one thing was for sure was that my mom always made sure that we knew we were Ghanaian. She wanted to make sure that we understood the Tree language. She wanted to make sure that we knew that we were Black, we were African, and that we could potentially be treated differently. So we did have that, and then my parents always also wanted us to have different experiences. You know, a lot of Ghanaian families that we knew, everything was invested in either within the home or sending back money all the time to Ghana. Whereas in my family, they did send money back home, but at the same time, they also made sure that they wanted us to have an experience when we were growing up. So we did things like taking vacations, and they always wanted to make sure we had things we needed for education and stuff like that, and for enjoyment as kids, like being active in extracurricular activities and having toys when we were kids. Because there were some Ghanaians who, when they would come visit, they said they couldn't wait to come to the prosper home because we had toys, and they didn't. So it was, it was a good experience.
I know that literally that's contributed to the person you are today. Now, what were you doing professional-wise, in Canada before you had that calling to come help make a change? Because before we get to that, you guys literally changed the whole how people look at Africa in Ghana. Ghana became all cute again because of what you guys were doing back there. But before we get into that, so do you mind telling us what you were doing there before you literally, had to drop everything and move off to the continent to take off on this responsibility?
Well, I have, first I always want to make sure people know that I didn't move because of year of return, because that didn't exist when I initially
first moved.
I have had such a diverse, an array of experiences in my life. So I'm not a one-dimensional person. I have career experiences in the fashion industry. I worked as a assistant buyer in women's casual clothing and shoes. I worked in retail management in footwear. I've worked as a fashion model. A lot of people ask me that when they see how tall I am. I was a model for a bit, and I also worked as a head booker at a talent agency where I was responsible.
What is that?
A head booker at a talent agency. So a talent agency, we managed actors and models. So basically, a film company or a commercial project would send a breakdown. So a breakdown basically is what they need to cast. So they might say we need a female actor aged 20 to 25. This height, this look, and this this is the role they're playing, and send some for our auditions. And so basically, I would go through the breakdowns, see what we had on our roster to see which actors fit into what the producers and agents wanted, the casting agents wanted, and then I would send them emails and get them to go out to their auditions. And once they audition and if they book the jobs, then the agency gets a percentage of what the talent has received. So my job was basically managing
bringing their talents
over like 750 people that we have on our roster. So I did that for a few years. So I have an understanding of that part of business. And then in the film and TV industry, I've done some freelance TV hosting, reporting, public speaking. I'm a public speaker. Since 2004, I traveled around to schools and nonprofit organizations speaking on positive body image, healthy self-esteem, particularly for young women. What else have I done?
Wow, that's what I'm saying.
There's more, but I don't want to keep on rambling on. But just before I came to Ghana, I was doing some freelance reporting for a TV station called Fiva TV. It's an African TV station in Toronto. It's owned by 4 Nigerian men, and so I was one of their freelance reporters. And then I also worked in medical records.
Wow, that's a lot. That's inspirational. So, what was the scenario where you were called upon to move to the continent and contribute to, changing the narrative and everything?
Well, with respect to the changing the narrative, that basically, when I had mentioned earlier that in 2011 when I came and it was just to get away, and then I ended up working at the school and then ended up hosting the show. When I saw how things were going, I knew that what I was doing was helping to change the narrative. My first video about Ghana that I posted on YouTube was in 2011. And it was a video that I was walking through La Palm because there was an event that was a women in media event that was happening at they did at Coconut Grove and La Palm. And so at La Palm, I was walking around and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And I did a video of me just walking around and it's like, wow, this is beautiful. This is Ghana. This is Africa. I was fortunate enough to be invited by a woman named Juliet, who I met at a party last week. And when she heard that I do some freelance writing and some freelance reporting, she thought it would be a good idea for me to be a part of this creative workshop that the British Council is having, where they've invited media who are coming in from the UK, including somebody who's done some work with BBC and others from around Africa. So it starts in about an hour, the launch party, right here at the La Palm Beach Hotel Resort. And I'm really, really excited. Of course, I will post pictures on my blog. Yeah, I'll tell you about all the exciting things and share some pictures. And keep following. I'm going to try to do some more video clips like this going forward so that you can kind of get a live view of Ghana and how beautiful it can be. A lot of people aren't aware of some of the beauty of the country. A lot of people aren't aware of the beauty of different places in Africa because we usually only see a certain image of Africa, right? So it's nice to see that there are possibilities on this continent. Changing the narratives. So that was the first time that I felt like, what I do can change the narrative. And then I started a blog, which was sharing my experiences. And the main thing was I was sharing it with friends and family members who were back home in Canada and some of the people in the US. So they could see
exactly how Africa looks like.
Yeah.
So you started in 2011.
So that's when I started, because I had that whole idea of maybe just changing the narratives, but I wasn't thinking of it in that grand scale that it became. So it was a process. Through doing that, and then once in a while I post videos and talking about Ghana. And it was in 2018 when I posted a video with negatives and positives of Ghana that those videos just hit, and I was like, oh, people really want to see stuff from Ghana. And then that's when I started posting a little bit more, and then it was in 2019 when I really started to take it more serious.
That must be a lot of experience. I can't imagine posting your first video on YouTube in 2011.
Yeah, and that wasn't actually my first video in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I started YouTube a long time ago, and it wasn't because I was trying to be a creator. YouTube, because basically when you register with Gmail,
you have YouTube,
right? And so I had, I think it was 2006, and I did it for my CV.
Okay.
So resume. So basically, when I apply for jobs in the film and television industry, then what happens is, producers might be like, I want to see what
A video
you
of,
do.
yeah.
And so I uploaded videos of myself reporting and stuff like that to show what I can do.
Okay.
So the link was usually an unlisted link.
Unlisted, so
and it
okay.
was sent to
Wow.
that person I
Wow.
applied for the job
Wow.
with so they can see
Wow.
what I can do. That's why I started it in the first place, not because I was trying to be a creator. It was through time that I recognized the potential of being a creator.
Wow, but fast forward, your videos are trending during year. You say you made some.
Year of return.
Yes, you made some video that was everywhere.
Yes, the video that I did that became like my most viral video was a video of Steve Harvey. The Steve Harvey video today is my best video as far as a number of views and as far as return on investment. Like, there was not much investment in it. I basically went, recorded him, did a quick interview, all on my phone. And I often say to people, young people who come to me, not even young people, but anyone who's like, they want to start a YouTube, but I don't have a camera, I don't have this. And I'm like, you have a phone.
Exactly.
So you have a camera.
Exactly.
You just have to make sure your phone is on the highest quality settings when you're using it. Because that video that was done on a Samsung S6 back in 2019 is still generating a buzz.
Yes.
And then I posted a clip of it on the Year of Return page, and it became a huge sensation to the point where people in Ghanaian media were downloading that video.
Wow, and
some of them were putting their logo on it, it was their video. When it was my video standing up there with my hands up over top to make sure I get the shot. Because being tall, I'm able to get the shot sometimes. So yeah, that video didn't require a lot of work, but it became a success because people liked the story of a celebrity who's come to Ghana, especially because people like him, people watch him on Family Feud, and so people were fascinated.
Right.
So the key is finding stories people will be fascinated with.
So the quality of the content in terms of it has to be interesting. It's not just the quality of the graphics, but
because sometimes I've done videos where I think it's gonna be a hit, and nobody watches it.
Interesting.
I'll be like, what? I thought this was gonna be a great video, but nobody watched it.
Yeah, you've been up very close and very personal, I would say. I don't know if that is the right word. Don't judge me, but you've been very close in, circles where some famous people that I can, mention. Steve Harvey. I've seen you with other celebrities. How do you do it?
Well, I think that with my work, a lot of these celebrities, when they come to Ghana, they reach out to Ghana Tourism Authority a lot of the time because they need some help with logistics. So a lot of people think that Ghana Tourism and the ministry are paying their flights and paying them to come to Ghana. They're not paying these people to come. These people want to come to Ghana.
Wow.
They're booking their flights. They're booking their trips. They reach out to the government, Ghana Tourism Authority specifically because of logistical support.
Right.
You might need, going from point A to point B. You may not have an understanding of the lay of the land.
Right.
You need, some help with understanding that kind of thing. And by nature of that, their team reaching out, we end up meeting some of these people and sometimes going on excursions with them or just going to whatever event that they're doing or being invited to. So, but a lot of people get fascinated by celebrities, and one thing I want to say is a lot of Ghanaians, particularly, will say things like, why do you guys only care about celebrities? Why do you only care? But the reality is human beings are fascinated by celebrities.
Exactly.
And one thing I've noticed is when I post something that might be really meaningful, because people will say, why don't you post meaningful content? And when I post something really meaningful, nobody
watches it. Yes.
Nobody even looks at it. And then as soon as you post a celebrity, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, and everybody's sharing it. So the fact is, there is a draw to celebrities that people feel this connection to. I mean, just look at Ghanaian celebrities. Ghanaians also love their own celebrities here, not just the ones from abroad. But for me, I've been around celebrities a lot throughout my life. So when I'm around them, I don't have that.
Oh my God!
I don't get that feeling when I'm around them because I've been around so many.
Exactly.
I might
because you are a star yourself. You're a star yourself.
I might be like, I say things like, "Oh, the person's shorter than I thought." Oh, they're taller than I thought.
This one right here. Nice.
He's much taller than I expected him to be. Steve Harvey, you're much taller than I thought. Look, we're like the same height.
6'2", so that throws a lot of people off.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
No.
Without my
That
heels,
no,
I'm 6'1".
no.
Without my heels, I'm 6'1".
You are sister.
Without my heels, I'm 6'1".
Okay.
These heels probably have like 3 inches on them. I'm wearing
Okay.
right now. And that's pretty normal for me wearing heels. But I think I just have to look at them as just human beings who
Okay.
happen to be in jobs that put them in a spotlight.
Let's talk about Ghana. Living here is not easy. You and I know that.
It's not.
But you've been here for so many long time, right? And you are still thriving, not just surviving, but thriving in.
Sometimes I feel like I'm just surviving.
But you know, you being here after all these ages, you must be doing something very right.
I think it takes commitment because there's a lot of people who come and leave.
Okay.
Because you have to be committed and you have to know your reason why you're doing what you're doing. Otherwise, it's easy to give up.
Okay.
It really is easy to give up.
Interesting.
The truth is, there's times I feel like giving up. There's times I just
Really?
Yeah, I'm human.
What is the scenario
There's
like?
scenarios when I'm trying to get an Uber to take me somewhere.
wow.
Those moments can be so frustrating. You know, like there was one time I actually did a live stream of how frustrated I was, and
I was watching you that
Were
day.
you?
Yes,
And took
I was
it
in
off.
Koforidua.
I ended up putting it on private because I was like, was I venting too much? Because we get so worried sometimes about our image when we're on YouTube and stuff. About, so I decided to put it on private. But yeah, but you watched it, so I was frustrated that day because every car I was requesting was canceling on me. They didn't want to take me, and it was like I spent over an hour just trying to get a car, and it's like, why should it be so difficult?
Wow.
And that has a lot to do with mindset, with people not understanding the long-term gain of your job.
Right.
I mean, you have chosen to drive, and I mean,
Yeah, the list goes on. It's a lot.
yeah, so
But
those kinds of moments, or the systems of some things can be challenging.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's say the major challenges that hit you apart from the Uber when it comes to even business wise or handling dealing with Ghanaians, the timing. Have you come?
Yeah, time is a major one.
Yeah.
Time is really a challenge. I understand that things happen sometimes in life and people can be late because it happens to all of us.
Okay.
We've all been late. But I think that the biggest challenge is the expectation that, it's going to be late anyway, so let's also be late.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you go places and everybody's like, people aren't going to be there until 11, so I'm not going to go till 11 anyway. So then everything ends up being delayed because everybody's mindset is, they're going to be late, so I'll be late too.
Wow.
Which makes it difficult for running business. You know, I read somewhere, and I can't for the life of me remember where it was I read it, but a couple of years ago I read a story that said that $250 million is lost every year in Ghana due to people being late.
Wow, really?
Yeah, in business, it's like $250 million losses due to people being late.
Interesting.
And I wish I bookmarked that article because when I read it, I was like, wow, this is not surprising.
We should have published that on our Ghana media. Now, you've been an advocate for, telling people the potentials of Ghana in terms of investment and believing that, let me ask you this straightforward. Do you think it's really possible, honestly, to make it, to become a millionaire even here in Ghana, being a diaspora and moving from Canada or US? Do you really honestly think that is possible?
I think it's possible if you find the right business.
Okay.
And if you have the right mind as far as what you'll have to endure to get there. Because becoming a millionaire is not easy anywhere in the world. It's hard everywhere in the world to become a millionaire. So when you come to another society where the system's also different, you have to learn a new system, it's equally difficult. But why I think it's more possible here for a diasporan who comes than if they try to do it where they are is because you're more limitless here. Whereas over there, there's a lot of limitations, largely because you don't have access to some things. As a black person, it can be challenging.
Let's talk about it, though.
Yeah, as a black person, it can be challenging trying to make it. That's why, after what happened with George Floyd, and all of a sudden these companies are now saying, now we're going to support black business, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, because now they're finally seeing that there is a disparity.
Exactly.
It's like having a race, and the black people are starting in the 100-meter dash, they're starting
behind
here, and the white people are here, and you're always trying to catch up. So here, the difference is also because of the grassroots nature of where we're at in Ghana, because Ghana is a young country. A lot of African countries are young countries after
independence
from their from colonialism and stuff. So you think about it as, let's say, the United States.
Right.
That country, people who started businesses 100, 200 years ago, and those businesses are still around now because
Yeah.
it's a legacy that's been left to family members.
Exactly.
So you may start something now and you might become a millionaire, or it might be your children or your grandchildren who become millionaires because of the business you've started.
Wow.
So if you're doing it because you're trying to build a legacy, you're trying to build something, then your purpose will be fulfilled because that's what you realize.
You're trying to say that wealth we see in the New York, US is generational wealth.
Well, yes. So, like, if you're from the Rockefeller family,
Right,
they didn't start that today.
Exactly.
That was started like so long ago.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, if you come to a country like Ghana, the potential to become a millionaire is high because it's still that grassroots level.
Interesting.
Whereas back then in the US,
Interesting.
it was the same thing. It was that beginning of people starting something and then it grew.
And that's where Ghana is now.
Yeah, so it's like the beginning of you starting something and then it can grow. You can start something now and within 10 years, you could be doing very well.
Wow.
I know people who've come and built successful businesses here
Really?
over the last decade. So it's possible, but you have to know it's a long-term thing. It's not going to be like tomorrow you're rich.
Let's send a strong message to the diasporans because they are watching. I know a few people are watching from my most viewership is coming from the US and New York, and I know Canada is also right behind. They are watching. They want to come do business. People even want to just come see how Ghana looked like. For those coming for business, what would be 3 strong advice for them? And for those coming just to take it, test the waters, what would be something they should know before stepping foot on the continent, if it's not Ghana, on the continent as a whole, in Africa?
Number one is do your research, because a lot of people will come and they didn't do any research and they just jump into something
Right.
away. So do your research, and that means spending time in the country. It doesn't mean coming during party season and hanging out and going to Africhella and all those places, and then now you know what business you're going to do.
Yeah.
It means coming and actually spending a good amount of time figuring out what it is that you think would work in the country and deciding, is it something you want to do that will service the country or is it something you want to do that is going to be like exporting out of the country, because then that helps you determine what is best to do. And then also going to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center to get information on running a business in Ghana, because they'll give you a lot of information on logistical aspects of doing business in Ghana, and they can help you because they also have a section called the Diaspora Investment Desk, which helps the diaspora with a lot of the questions that they may have.
How do they reach out to? What's the
GIPC.
channel? Yeah.
On social media, just type in GIPC Ghana and you'll find that they'll pop up GIPC, or even just in Google GIPC, Ghana Investment Promotion Center, and they'll be the first that pops up in Google.
Awesome.
And then you can reach out to them. And then finally, building relationships with people. So networking, whether it's networking in person or it's through LinkedIn communities, because a lot of Ghanaians are on LinkedIn now. So it's important that you do network, because when you have somebody who is already Ghanaian here and knows the lay of the land, that's also helpful in you doing business. Yeah.
Interesting. Speaking of Coachella and December, we are in December.
We're in December. We are in the thick of it.
And then the whole world is in Ghana right now.
People are coming to Ghana.
If people
or
are,
they hear some of them. Yeah.
If someone is not here in Ghana right now, what are you saying to them?
You better come. You need to come.
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody's in Ghana.
People are here, yeah. And if you can't come this year, come next year.
Next year. Okay. So it's not too late. Let's backtrack a little bit.
Ghana's always here.
Let's backtrack a little bit. I want to kind of get the mindset of people living in the diaspora, or not even diasporans, but example, there are people who are just Canadians but they are black. Does it make sense? How do people like that look at Africa or Ghana? Like, let's say African American who have never been to Africa and believe that they are not Africans but they are American. How do people like that view Africa, in their eyes? I want you to explain that. Since you've been in Canada for a long time, I think you have an idea of what that mindset is. Can you let me?
Well, so as you mentioned, there's black Canadians who are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade.
Right.
And then there's the African Americans who are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. So there's a mixture of views. There's people who feel that they are not part of Africa. There's a whole movement of people who believe that they are the original people in North America and who believe that they're not African. So there's that group of people. And then there's the people who believe that they are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, and some of them choose to want to learn more and connect, and some of them decide that, well, they sold us, so we don't want any part of them. So there's that aspect too. So there's a different range of feelings that people have when it comes to how they see Africa. But one of the things that is really, really critical is that media has played a big role in what people think about Africa, whether they believe they're from Africa or not. The media has played a huge role, Western media, in making people believe that Africa is always filled with conflict, it's always filled with disease, it's always filled with people who are dying, and that it's not developed, and everybody's, you know, in the streets with nothing. And so there's this perception that animals are running around everywhere, and not understanding that it's a continent of several countries that all have different distinctive things about them. Some countries have a lot of wildlife, some don't have much at all. And so I think it's important that people learn that it's not a monolith. Africa's not a one monolith, you know, and the media has to take responsibility in that, but a lot of them don't. But I have to say that I think that National Geographic did a great job acknowledging their role in perpetuating a negative view of Africa, because they actually put a public apology out a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, they put out a public apology a few years ago. I think it was in 2018 or 2019, in how they contributed to the negative stereotypes of Africa through their imagery over the decades.
When is CNN and BBC going to do the same? Wow, interesting. Guys, if you are enjoying the conversation, please, I want you to like the video, share to friends and family so they enjoy too. And subscribe. YouTube said 86% of you guys watching within the last 30 days have not subscribed, but you are watching the video. You like it, so why don't you subscribe? Okay, so Ivy Prosper.
Yes.
Strong Ghanaian woman. You've been doing amazing. Your portfolio is awesome. You are inspiration for some female on the continent. You've done a lot of projects here. You went on a show. Okay, I don't want to mention the name of the show, but you said something about you dating in Ghana and the brouhahas that comes with it. You mentioned about married men coming after. I know I'm not supposed to say it, but it's something that I want to ask you. Okay, you've been here for quite a number of time now. Okay, let's just be honest. Okay, how is dating in Ghana like?
You know, I don't like to talk a lot about for my personal life, but you know, dating in Ghana has its challenges, like anywhere in the world has its challenges when it comes to dating. But one of the things that I find problematic is because there's so much prevalence of people having side chicks, as people call it.
Okay.
There's so much prevalence of it that some people become surprised that you're not interested in being a side chick. And I'm not saying everybody does it, but there is a prevalence of it. So unfortunately, that's one of the things I don't like here in Ghana.
Now, I know you're hiding away from the question.
How am I hiding from the question?
She used a big English. Now I don't know what that means. What is prevalence?
Prevalence is like, it's a lot. It's all over. There's so much of it.
Okay. Have you tried dating? Have you tried dating since you moved
Have I
there?
tried dating?
It's personal
I was
because you made it public. Before I wouldn't have asked you, but you said you had an encounter where you were in public and a man who was wearing a ring came up to you.
Oh, I said it on that other show.
Yes.
The other show that we had. There was 4 of us women talking about. That's what you're talking about.
Right.
Talking about dating in Ghana. Yeah, I mentioned that. It wasn't someone I was dating.
Okay.
I was at a party, and the person was the person and I were having a conversation, and he was holding a plate, so I couldn't see that there was a ring. But then once he put the plate down and I saw the ring, then I just was like,
okay,
I'm talking to this person.
Wow.
And then it was a few minutes later when suddenly the ring was gone, and now he's trying to get me to go out with him. And I was like, you were just wearing a ring a few minutes ago, and now you don't have a ring on. And he's like, oh, me and my wife are having problems. And I'm like, so you had problems from 15, 20 minutes ago to now. Now all of a sudden it's gone. So yeah, that wasn't someone I was dating. It was just someone I
was an
met
encounter.
when I had the party, and then, but it didn't go anywhere from there because I saw immediately that the person is married.
I had a lady who moved from the US, an African American, and more likely moved to the continent because of love. You did,
Happens.
And the relationship ended up being broken off. And I don't know the whole story. I might be right, I might be wrong, but she was on a flight back crying because of so many frustrations that came with that the disappointments. People are from the diaspora watching. They've met their Ghanaian man. They want to move to the continent for love. You did that 50%, but with other. What you have that experience, please. What would be that advice for our ladies out there, or even the gentlemen who have met some wonderful women who want to move to the continent because of love? What would you say to somebody like that?
Well, you can't really say anything against someone when it comes to love, like for or against, because love makes you make decisions that you don't make logically. The emotions that come with love, being in love with someone, we don't make logical decisions a lot of the time. So there's nothing I could say to give someone advice on what to do. The person that I was in a relationship with, I made decisions based on love and based on the relationship. So I think that all I can say is always be prepared, because anything can happen. Because the thing is, it can work out. It could work out and be very, very good if the relationship works out. So I don't want to tell people something negative, and then when you go into it negatively, it could end up being festering and breeding negativity. So I just feel like if someone is making a decision to move because of love, which people do around the world all the time. People move to countries or move to different cities for love all the time. I just think that plan well and know that you have to create your own life as well outside of the relationship, because if the relationship is the only part of your life, it will be extremely devastating. Breakups are already devastating as it is, but if you don't have a community that you've built outside of a relationship or a career or a life or hobbies or whatever outside of a relationship, it makes it more difficult to get through when you don't have other things in your life, because if that was your own thing, especially because if you're moving to another country that you're not familiar with, it makes it really much more difficult. So it's important that you build a community of friends or something to keep you going if it doesn't work out.
Interesting. The word out there right now is Ghanaian men are the most faithful men in the whole of West Africa.
I can't give an answer to that question because I've not dated someone from Togo, from Benin, from Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, so I can't make that statement to say if it's true or not. I can't say. I've dated a Nigerian before, but and I have to clarify, because I know you have viewers from the U.S. mostly, but you also have viewers that are from Ghana and other parts of the world too. Because I think the concept of dating in North America and in Europe is different than the concept of what people have here.
Explain.
So, like, if I'm in Canada or someone's in the U.S. and they say I'm dating, it just means that, let's say I've met you and we go out for coffee for a coffee date. And then maybe it didn't work out. Oh, no, I don't really like that person. Then you meet someone else, you go on another coffee date or for a drink of wine or something, and you're just going on a date. It doesn't mean anything. But in Ghana, when you say you're dating, they automatically think this is your boyfriend, this is your girlfriend, and they think you're committed to this one person. And sometimes in Ghana, the person might even think that you're wild or you're loose, and they think you're sleeping with all these people, but you're not sleeping with all these people. You're just going on a coffee date. You're just going, you know what I mean? So the concept of dating, when I talk about dating, I'm not talking about a relationship. I'm talking about you just go on a date here, a date there, and meet people to figure out who you actually connect with.
Interesting.
I have been in a serious relationship with a Ghanaian, but that relationship ended, and since then I haven't been in a serious, real, serious relationship. I told you 50% of my coming was that particular relationship.
But now, I don't want to ask too much if I'm not supposed to.
I don't want to go too much into it because I really don't want to focus too much on my personal life. I really don't like to.
I don't want to. But the last question, don't please. What happened, that made you be like, I might probably think twice before entering into a different relationship? Because after that relationship, you told me that you've been quite probably focused on other things than getting yourself into another relationship. It is a very important topic because most people are moving to the continent because of relationship. Do you know that? I have
Really?
Maybe. My percentages of friends that moved to the continent, mostly female, came. So I had about 4 or 5 girls who moved because of love, right? And they always come back and tell me, man, after me experiencing Ghanaian men, I think they are less than a 3 when I'm rating on the scale. Yes, I have someone who rated Ghanaian men 4. Can you believe that? And I'm like, no way, no way. Ghanaian men are the most faithful in the whole of West Africa. Why you rate them 3 and 4? So I want that clarity. I want to get that data to find out, is that truth? Is there any truth to it?
I can't answer that question.
I respect that.
Yeah,
I respect
I don't
that.
have an answer to that.
I respect that.
Everybody's opinion is based on their
Experiences,
right?
okay.
So I can't say that. I've dated,
Mm-hmm.
I've had relationships, and I've gone on dates with
Mm-hmm.
people of different places,
Mm-hmm.
like Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria,
Okay.
Canada, people who are Jamaican background, people Trinidadian background, African Americans, so, and all of the experiences I've had, I'm not married, I'm single.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I say that to say that it doesn't mean that where the person is from
Has anything to do with it.
the type of men.
I like that.
I'm not a person who's gonna disqualify an entire group of men
Raised, yeah.
because of some experiences that I've
Interesting.
had. What I'll say is that I think that in life, we, men and women, we make decisions, and sometimes we make decisions that end up becoming detrimental to our happiness. Sometimes we ignore certain things that we should have seen.
Right.
Especially women. We women do it a lot, where we ignore signs, we ignore red flags, all in the name of love. Like I said earlier, people don't make logical decisions, especially women. We don't make logical decisions sometimes when we're in love with someone deeply, and it can end up resulting in negative results.
Interesting.
And it goes both ways. I can't speak from a man's perspective.
Right.
I can only speak from a woman's perspective.
Right.
That sometimes we make these decisions that are not the best for us, and then sometimes life circumstances can be a result of why things don't work out. Life circumstances can take people in different directions, and if you're going in different directions, it can be difficult to bring it back to where it could be. And sometimes it's timing in life. People are at different stages in their life. Someone might be ready for something, and someone is not ready for something.
Interesting.
And so it doesn't work out. And then later on, when that person is ready, the other person's already moved on to something else, and then it's too late.
Okay.
There's so many different factors when it comes to
Makes
relationships.
sense.
This
Yes.
is becoming a relationship
Yes.
conversation.
We are
It's
moved
not
past
supposed to be about
that.
relationships.
We moved past that.
I don't like
I know
that.
the viewers like to know. Now that we are done with the relationship topic, not to bore you so much, you are an inspiration. I'm being honest. I'm not even joking or just blowing. What's the word? Blowing something up.
Blowing smoke?
Yes, I'm not even doing that right now. I've seen you work so much. You are an inspiration to so many. Even myself. You made the move. You saw something here in Ghana, Africa, before everybody did. I want to ask you this last question. If you are given the chance, right, to just make one change on the continent or here in Ghana, to contribute to the development of the nation, just to speed up that process, what would that one thing be?
If I can make one change?
Change.
One?
Just one. I know you'll make more than that, but just one.
It would be, I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this. It would be to have all of the economic control that European and Western nations have over Africa to be completely removed, so that Africa can become the strong force that it's meant to be. Because a lot of those economic systems are created intentionally to keep Africa down. Because if Africa truly does rise, it means somebody has to fall. And the people who would have to fall, they don't want to fall.
Wow.
So they will do everything possible
To stop that.
from happening. So if I could change one thing, it would be to have those economic systems, strongholds
That's
that
powerful.
are being held over the African continent to be removed.
That's
what it
powerful.
would be. It's impossible, but it's an impossible ask.
That's
But that's what I
powerful.
would love to
Wow.
change.
Would you say you moving back to the continent and doing all these amazing things has been worth it for you?
Yes.
Your final message to those watching?
My final message?
Yes.
I don't really have a final message, Do I? I would say that if you're looking to make an impact in the continent of Africa, or if you're looking for a place for an opportunity to do business, or even just to have a vacation, you can look to the continent as a place to do that. Over the years, we've been trained to think that it wasn't, but it truly is. You can think about going on your honeymoon, think about going on a vacation in the summertime. There's so many beautiful places that you can visit on the continent of Africa. And I also want people to know that you don't have to live here to make a contribution. You don't have to live here to know that you can impact the continent. Because a lot of people think that you have to make the move. I don't think you necessarily have to. The move isn't for everyone.
Okay.
Because it is challenging, and also because people have built their lives. Like if you have kids, you have a house, you have this and that. It's hard for you to just pack up
everything
say,
and leave.
But you can say, I'm going to go on vacation in Tanzania. I'm going to go on vacation, in Namibia, because you want to put your money into a country where maybe those people wouldn't have had that money coming into the country before. So I think that's another way you can make an impact. So I think that there's always ways you can have an impact. You can consciously choose to purchase products that may be coming from Africa. And I also challenge you to consciously look out for stories from Africa, to learn. Because a lot of times you see a filtered version, but if you consciously find out, which is why these YouTube spaces are so
And you are doing that. You have that perspective on your YouTube channel, Ivy Prosper.
Yeah, I'm trying. Sometimes I vent.
which is pure truth. It's not any only how do you positive. Yeah, it's balanced.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're watching this, she does have a YouTube channel where she shared real stories. If she's frustrated in the Uber, she would go on live and make sure she updates you on everything and so many other amazing things. And this December, she's everywhere. She will go into almost 100 programs.
Yeah, we've already started.
You've started already, and then her YouTube channel would be a very good place to see Ghana through that YouTube channel. We've had an amazing conversation. There's so much that I want to talk to you about, right? But time may not permit us. You are a very busy woman.
Yes,
you're on the clock.
A few minutes.
Exactly.
I might be late because of that.
I'm sorry. But we will wrap up now. Thank you so much for talking to me.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. And guys, please go check her out on her YouTube channel. Also on Instagram. Follow her live. See what she's doing on the continent. And they might probably reach out to you in terms of investment and other opportunities that because of Ghana tourism, you work for Ghana tourism. So they might also reach out to you in case of assistance. Would that be okay?
If they do, I would refer them to the right place.
Possibly.
Okay.
Okay.
I also offer consultations for which there's a fee.
Okay.
And so they can always email me at info@ivyprosper.com.
Okay. I'm going to leave everything on the screen and also in the description. And thank you so much for watching. And let's say bye-bye to them.
Bye.
Bye.